Hi there.
Ah, who is that?
It's me, the narrator.
Narrator?
What you just witnessed is exponential growth. Exponential growth. It's when something changes at a changing rate. Shall I elucidate?
Actually, I'm pretty busy
Exponential
at the moment.
growth, as well as decay, are models that enable us to predict patterns of change in quantities that are affected by their previous value. As you just saw, a culture of bacteria expands more rapidly when there are more bacteria already present. Such changes can be seen in other populations too, from dandelions to cane toads to people. Still with me?
I
Take the
guess.
population of a small country town like Boring and a huge bustling city like Gotham. In a year's time, which place do you think would have grown by more? For simplicity's sake, we'll ignore factors like death rate, migration, and potential terraplots by unnamed copyright villains, and just focus on birth rate. Say Boring has 1,000 inhabitants, and Gotham has 5 million inhabitants. And assuming 50% of the population is female, let's say over the course of a year, 10% of females will give birth. That's way more than we'd realistically expect. But simplicity. So, in a year's time, 50 Boring women and 250,000 Gotham women will have children, making their new population counts 1,050 and 5.25 million respectively. How about after the first year? If the growth rate remains constant, then we can expect 52 or 3 Boring children and 262,500 Gotham children in the second year. But wait, you might ask, why were there an extra 12,500 Gotham children born in the second year compared to the first, but only 2 or 3 more Boring children? What a great question!
That didn't say anything.
And the answer is that is just how we define an exponential. As growth in this case is dependent on a set portion of the current population, growth will continue to increase as each year's current population will be more than the last. In fact, we can write this as an equation, where the population count P of one place equals the original population, or P0, times by 1, plus the rate of growth to the power of the x-axis value, in this case, number of years to pass. So where else do we see exponential change? Ever heard of economics?
Well, yeah.
Because compound interest is a perfect example of exponential growth. In your savings account, you may receive interest, which means your bank deposits money into your account after every lapse of a constant period of time. If these deposits aren't a constant amount, but instead increase at a constant rate, dependent on however much money is already in the account, then this is compound interest, and an example of exponential growth. So we know about exponential growth. But didn't you mention something earlier about exponential decay? Well, I'm glad you asked.
I didn't.
Exponential decay is very similar to growth. However, instead of the addition of a quantity, the quantity declines at an exponential rate. Such a change may be seen in the decay of a radioactive substance, like plutonium-238, for example. Now, the problem with this model is that theoretically, the plutonium yield will never reach zero. However, logically, we know that a radioactive substance will eventually dissipate completely and cannot continue to be divided once there is only a single atom left. In fact, something that an exponential curve assumes is that measured quantities are not restricted to being integers, which in reality is often not the case. Take our example of population growth, for instance. If the population were to grow by 5% per year, after the second year, Boring would actually expect a growth of 52.5 children. But how could we have half of a child? For this reason, we would round the estimate to the nearest integer, 52 or 53. But technically, this is incorrect. Similarly, compound interest is restricted to dollars and cents, as radioactive decay is restricted to whole atoms. Another drawback of the exponential model is that when applied to real life, it does not account for any potential external impacts. For elemental decay, this could be pressure or temperature changes. For a population, this may be an outburst of disease, the changing economy or livability of a city, an environmental disaster, migration, or basically anything that might affect birth or death rate. While these factors can certainly have a profound impact on the result, they are impractical if not impossible to predict. Then why do we use this model, do you ask? Because it is useful. Although not always exact, we can gain insight into how to effectively maintain an endangered animal population, whether a financial plan of 10% a year or 5% a quarter will yield a higher interest rate, how long a specific dose of medicine will last in a patient's bloodstream, or even how much uranium you need to power a rocket for a month. It could also help you estimate how many bacteria are in your agar culture.
That is useful.
You see, exponential growth and decay is a really important concept that can allow us to understand and predict the patterns of many natural occurring changes. Without maths, where would we be? No infrastructure, no cars, no running water, no cheese, no wine, no alcohol, no maths subject I can take at uni, no uni. No comfortable swivelly chairs to sit on, no internet, no phones, no TV, no radio, no electricity, no agriculture, no engineering, no robots, no pizza, no sharing of food, no music, and no time.